There is a gentleman here that has definitely let his you out. Brother Bill Dillon. I had lunch with him. Believe this or not, he came all the way to Dripping Springs, Texas. Now, some of y'all don't know where Dripping Springs is, but he came to Dripping Springs and he started telling me about occupational chaplains and what all he had done in the past and what he was building. And I began to think what all these chaplains could be doing. And I think you had about 25 or 30 chaplains, Brother Dillon, at that point. But my mind was racing, maybe we could have 100 chaplains.
Wow.
You know, and what if all of them were talking to people and getting Bible studies lined up? LifeSprings even put some money in one of our companies to build a green room or whatever you call it to make videos. I don't know, some of you know more than I know about all that, but it didn't really happen, but he still made it happen because he let the you out, Brother Green. And I don't know, I'm bringing him here to tell us about Occupational Chaplains Association, but also to introduce Neil Bennett, who is the president of Occupational Chaplains of America. So, Brother Dillon, come. You always are an inspiration to us. He is from the great state of Mississippi.
Yes, sir.
Nate. So, you should have worn your... Did you bring anything that has Ole Miss on it? This morning at breakfast, if you saw, there it all is. Okay.
You want the lights back on? No, you don't.
No, I'm going
You
to show
get to work
it. Yeah. My wife keeps me in the dark, so.
He didn't say that in the microphone.
Brother Green was so deep and heavy, and and I'm going to get a little deep and heavy. So I'm going to tell you a little thing that happened to me, just to lighten it up just a little bit. You can't tell it right now, but I ride the bike, and 50 miles is good. 20 to 50 miles I like to do. I like to listen to sermons as I go, so I didn't have one of those fancy ones that had the earplugs, you know. So I was listening to sermons and pedaling away, and me and Jesus have a good time. And I stopped because I couldn't get this left ear, I couldn't get it to hear very good, and I got to I stopped and pulled out my earplugs, and I looked, and one of my earplugs was gone.
Why don't you look closer?
One of my earplugs were gone. So I looked all around the ground and backed up a little bit, couldn't find it nowhere. And we have a beautiful trail. It's 44.4 miles. It goes from New Albany to Houston. I've ridden the whole thing. I love it. And it's just wonderful, just for bikes and walking. So I'm on this trail and I'm looking for this earplug, and I can't find it. And I needed to be able to hear. You know, I've got hearing aids in now, so I needed to hear. And so finally I found it. It was in my ear. So I tried to get it out, couldn't get it out. So, well, I did have a bicycle tool, one of those that fold out, has all kinds of stuff on it. So if you've seen a guy with a bicycle tool in his ear, that was me. Praise God, hallelujah. Occupational Chaplains of America. It was actually started as Life Chaplains in the Division of Home Missions. Moved over to the Division of Education when it was that. It's now the OEE, and we had to change the name, so we changed it to Occupational Chaplains of America. Our donation to LifeSprings is we gave half of our company away. So they took their name, they took more than that, they took our name too. So I changed it to Occupational Chaplains Association, and we are the endorsers in this trainers of occupational chaplains. Go to the next slide. Do I have a clicker? Or you
Well,
can click for me?
We had one, I don't know what happened to it.
I still have one. I'll get it for you.
Oh, you got one? Oh, there it is.
There you have it.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah,
think you've got
Neil
it on the
Bennett's
slide.
pretty aggressive, he'll take a lot of stuff.
I don't have enough slots.
Neil's a great guy. Worked with him in the children's mansion. I want to say though also, before I go on, this is my pastor. I was pastor in a little mountain town, and I was talking to the Lord one day, and I said, Lord, I'll stay here the rest of my life, but there's an area of my life that nobody's taught me, and that's administration. And you know, I think I could do more than what I'm doing. And lo and behold, they sent me to the children's mansion. And I was the first family that they never got to interview my wife. We took a chance at. And we had 3 children when we signed up. By the time we got there, we had a 4th. We didn't tell them about, but it was okay. He was adopted, so fit right in. Spent 12 years at the children's mansion. All right. All right, it'd be good if it worked.
The right one?
Am I pushing the wrong button?
I don't know which one you're pushing.
Right or left?
Okay.
There you go.
All right. This is the progress we made this last year. They wanted a little report. As we told you last year, we gave an endorsed project, the United Pentecostal Church.
Yes.
All non-military
Yeah.
chaplains, other than the one that's in home missions, which is the Christian Prison Fellowship. Occupational chaplains gained 4 district level chaplains, directors, and a national director. Just brought one of those on this last month. We have 2 distance learning sites, and I want to give a shout out to Brother Hugh Leopard. He is the brains that helped us get the first one going. And just as soon as I got the first one going, Brother Bernard wanted us to get on Minister Central, and so they put us on there too. We have 20 lessons of distance learning. And we have no indebtedness as of November. That's our last payment on our 501c3. And we've operated in black for the last 10 years, and by that I'm saying the last 5 years, 5 years before that, the visitation took all of our money, so I guess we were
Neil Bennett takes your name and the Department of Education took your money.
Yeah, but we got that on track, and we've now in charge of our money. So, all right. We have 230 chaplains now. At the time Brother Flutt was talking about, we had about 25, and we have 2 FBI chaplains and ICE chaplain, and we've had 6 life training sessions. Dr. Poe is our Director of Education, and we have 2 more scheduled this year. 34 people have started or have completed in our distance learning sites, and our immediate need is to go to level 2, and I think I've already got a plan of action to put another 20 videos together and go on from there. And then we estimate that that would add about $8,000 to $10,000 a year to our income. So we're not, our part of this OCA is not a money generating thing as per se, but we do need money to operate, and so that will help us. And one of our greatest needs, if you happen to have one that's sitting around not doing anything, we sure need another badge maker. Ours is kind of on its last leg. So, okay, our solvency, the expenses are, we have our yearly dues that to be an endorsed project. We have monthly ongoing website communications and distance learning sites, the cost of badge and shield. I have an assistant that works about 5 hours a month, and just a very small amount of travel. I do not take anything for this. I am now able to maybe do a little bit of money for travel, but that would be about it. We do have an annual audit. We found out that does cost us something. And then, of course, all our indebtedness is paid off in November. So, brief overview. Occupational Chaplain Association exists to train, endorse, and mentor chaplains. And working through, we always work through the local pastor. I want to emphasize that. This isn't about drawing people out of your church to work for us. Works through the local pastor and through the local church or the district, whatever the case may be, to launch men and women into the harvest field in a local area, their local area. All right? Raising an army of spiritual and emotional caregivers to meet the needs of a dying world. I feel compelled again today, after praying about this, I feel compelled to tell you what really a chaplain, I think we went back there. To get through that, excuse me. I really feel compelled to tell you what a chaplain and why a chaplain exists and why in my heart. I was traveling down a road from where I was pastoring in the mountains in Washington State. And I come upon an area and I saw a group of people there, and I noticed, I recognized some of them, so I stopped. I was on my way to work. I was a working pastor. And I saw them there, and I said, what's going on? They said, there'd been a wreck, and this truck went over the hill, 2 girls in it. One of the girls was pinned in the truck, so I ran down there. I was going to try to help, and their girl was sitting upright in her seat with her seatbelt, but her head was completely bent over, and then top of the cab was pinning her neck down. And so as I looked at that, I wanted to help immediately, so I jumped up. There was another man trying to get that off her. She had no pulse, and she wasn't breathing. Or she had a pulse, but she wasn't breathing. So I tried to get up, but somebody ran up to me and said to us, don't do anything. We got the crew, the ambulance on the way, the fire department on the way. There's a little rural community, a community that had volunteer fire department, and so they came. Took them about 10 or 15 minutes to get there. When they got there, the Jaws of Life was without any gas, so they had to flag down a log truck and fill up the gas. Make a long story short, they cut her out. She lived 2 weeks. And from that time on, I said, I will never, ever be unprepared again. And I went immediately, took a first aid class, tried to do something to be prepared. So I don't feel like I have all the answers, but I want to stir your mind today. Some of you in this room have the ability to open doors and give a platform to change the very concept of evangelism.
Yes.
What I'm hearing in this meeting is something about this from Brother Barnard to Brother Green, Brother Drury, is that we've got to go to the next level. We've got to go on beyond what we've done in the past. So I want you to think about that. If you're in this room, there's something that you can do to go on beyond just where we're at now. And the reason that we have to go on beyond, why a chaplain? Look at it. Look at the people. There's 385,228 souls that will be born today. 159,600 souls went into eternity today. That's round figures, estimation. That leaves about 225,728 net growth. There are 82.4 million souls of increase every year in the world. In 1 year's time, if we was to build enough churches and win enough people to keep up with the birth rate, we would have to build 164,800 churches and convert 500 people to keep up with the birth rate. Just the birth rate. What about the other 7.5 billion people that are on this earth, souls? So my concept from the beginning is to get people out of the church building, your church building, and get your people working, give them the tools to work so that they might go out. If we do not empower the people in your church, in the churches, we will not reach this world. I thank God for Brother Bernard and everything that we are doing. But there are so many that need help. Now the church is very, very important. The church is a lighthouse, and it is one that reaches into the world, but it can only hold so many people. And the church is so very important. But that's where you bring the wounded. That's where the hospital for sick souls are. That's where the training ground is. That's where the Samaritan brought the man, I believe, the inn. But Jesus said the field was the world. That's what the field is. So, the chaplains, they go where, that's what chaplains do, they go where they're at. I can remember the first time I entered in to Pilgrim's Pride with all the chickens being slaughtered and the blood and everything, and walking by the pools of blood and the feathers and everything that's going on. But there are souls in there. And I can also remember the times when they had a wreck, and it was a chaplain that was called to the hospital to bring calmness and to bring spiritual influence to the situation and comfort. So why occupational chaplains? Association, well, we're training chaplains for the things that you are just been talking about, disasters, plane wrecks, other things. So why? The why is there's 385,228 people that just took their first breath today. That's the why. It's all about being prepared. It's fine to tell them to go out and knock somebody's door and invite them to church. Nothing wrong with that. But when there's a real need, it falls back on the pastor and the leadership in the church. It doesn't need to always do that. There is people that are capable in your church that is able to, if they just had a little training, when the need arises on this road. Sister Freeman, I had her 9 times in our church when she had a relative in the town, so I said, anytime you want to come to town, I'll pay your way. I was so lucky, so blessed to have her. And she told a story about one day that she was out there, and she was in a country setting, and she was washing dishes or something like that, and the Lord spoke to her and said, go out and stand on the porch and wave. So she went out and she stood on the porch, and there was nobody there. Nobody going up down the road, she's just waving because God told her to. And she waved and she waved and waved. And pretty soon she saw a car coming, and so then she really raised up on her tiptoes, and she was waving and waving and waving. And so the person came by, they looked in, she waved at them, she waved at them as they went by. They went on down the road. And I don't know how many months later it was that she found out that man was on his way to commit suicide. And he said, when you waved, I just felt like maybe somebody did care. And she didn't commit suicide. So who's God going to use? Is he going to go to another state or another country and bring somebody over to that road and use that person? Well, he could do that. But most generally, he's going to use somebody that is there. He's going to use somebody that's already prepared and needed. My dream was to give people the ability to have the tools that I was never trained for, that was never trained in a Bible school. At the time we started this, no Bible school that I knew of was teaching anything about chaplain work. And we began to work with Urshan Graduate School. They developed the course, and then we went on, and our Director of Education is teaching in ABI about chaplains. So I know there's at least 2 now. this is some of the things that we teach. Sudden unexpected death notification. Nobody taught me how to do that. That's a tough thing to do if you don't know how to do that, what to say, not to say. Critical stress management and debriefing. Psychological first aid is a proven fact. I have the evidence to prove that people that go through a trauma that gets psychological first aid and those that don't. There is about a 60% suicide or quitting the job rate between the two like disasters. So disaster training, suicide signs and prevention, grief and bereavement tools, hospital protocol, ER room protocol. How do you tell a lady whose baby had just died in the womb that she has to carry it for 2 more weeks before they can take it? What do you tell her? What do you do? Well, there's people in your church that's able, if they're trained, to do that. How many doors do you have in your church? You got 5, 6 doors? What if you had a door, well, let's say, at a large corporation in your city, or a local sheriff's department, fire department, hospital, hospice, FBI office, mayor office. I became the chaplain of the 13th District Judicial Court in our city where I was pastoring in El Dorado, Arkansas. The judge got the Holy Ghost. He sent through our church 165 a week of court-ordered accident anger management for us to teach for 36 weeks. That's still going on today. So let's go on. Now, I'm coming to a close of my part here. I showed you this picture 4 years ago and pitched to you about Occupational Chaplains of America and the other side. The other side of this is a corporate side, is a for-profit side. We're the non-profit side, the association is. And I said, and I presented this, I said, all things are possible in them that believe. I thought this was a unique picture.
It is very.
That really tells a lot about faith and hope, and maybe wild hope that doesn't seem possible. So I'm here to tell you today, the turtle has jumped. Hallelujah. 2 years ago, LifeSprings took this project on and multiplying occupational chaplains into 2 entities, and they retained the name of Occupational Chaplains of America, which is now an LLC. And Brother Neil will be coming here in just a minute to tell you about that. The founding OCA changed its name slightly to Association. And I do thank Randy Stearns, for helping to get our 501c3 in the right area. I probably was in trouble with the government, and he got me out and got me straight.
You just didn't know it.
I had a feeling, though. Last year, the funds was raised to launch a full-time CEO for our LLC, and that's Brother Neil Bennett. And here they are. I'm going to ask Brother Neil Bennett to come. It's so good to have Brother Andy and Brother Jeff,
Yes.
occupational chaplains. Association chaplains.
Awesome.
We're glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time today.